This is Entrepreneur Radio, maximizing your personal and business results by leading with your heart. With your host, Terri Levine. Listen every week as Terri tackles the topics that will help you become a successful heart-centered entrepreneur. Be sure to read the blog posts at www.heartrepreneur.com/blog. Come back often and add this show to your favorite RSS feed or subscribe in iTunes. You can also follow Terri on Twitter at MentorTerri and on Facebook.com/Heartrepreneur Terri Levine. And now here's Terri.
Hello and welcome. It's Terri Levine here at Heartrepreneur Radio, Heartrepreneur TV. Thank you again for tuning in. Make sure you also do follow our blog, which is at heartrepreneur.com/blog. And we invite you to share the show with other like-minded business owners. Always keep in mind that businesses that do business heart to heart are open-minded, are curious, care more about relationships than transactions. So let's get ready. I have a great guest here with me today. Alex Sanfilippo is the host of Creating a Brand, and that is a top 20 entrepreneurship podcast. So it's very important. Creating a Brand is a podcast. And what Alex does is he interviews successful leaders, he interviews experts on topics that matter to entrepreneurs and that also matter to you as a heartrepreneur. People who want to grow faster, not only personally, also professionally, while saving time and money in the process. And who doesn't want that? So today I want to talk to Alex quite a bit about creating a brand. And today together, we're going to help you accelerate your success. Alex, thank you for tuning in and joining me today.
Terri, thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here with you today. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, actually, me too. I'm so excited because many people talk about brands. And yet, I think when small business owners think of brands, they think they need to be like Coca-Cola or Pepsi, and They don't have the budgets to do that. They don't have the means to do that. So first of all, why is creating a brand even important to a smaller entrepreneur?
Because it's what people are going to follow ultimately. And just to kind of give up the whole, like the end of this, if you will, each of us, we are our own brand at the end of the day. As an entrepreneur, you are the brand. That's what people are buying into ultimately. But I think that we have this idea that, like you're saying, we need to be like Coca-Cola or we need to be like one of these other big brands. I always use Nike as an example. We look at those things and say, okay, well, I'm not really a brand until I look as polished as they do or have the marketing strategy that they do. And the problem with that is they started from nothing. They were just a person that people liked at one point as well. They were somebody that was adding value, solving a problem for people. And they didn't start off as some massive brand the way that they look right now. I think that many of us, we discredit that journey of what that looks like. I just think that it's sad to see because some people never launch what they want to do because they sit back and say, well, I'm not a real brand. I don't look like that. But ultimately, each of us are that brand. And that's what we have to be focused on.
So I need you to make one differentiation because I see this confusion. Logo, brand.
Yeah, a logo is branding, I suppose, is what you could call it, but it's not actually the brand itself. Example, if Coca-Cola changed the way their logo looked, it might confuse a lot of us, but it doesn't taste any different. It's still the same product, right? That's just the actual branding behind what the brand has. So anything that you do like that, any logos you have, any designs, it's not ultimately the brand itself. That's the branding that goes into it. I'm glad you brought that up because many people assume that I'm a branding expert. I actually am not the best designer in the world. I sub all of that out. I'm great at helping people develop a brand for themselves.
If you have any challenges in your business and you want some business advice and help, we're here to do a customized blueprint to help you overcome your biggest business challenge. Send an email right now to Terri, Terri, at Terri Levine, Levine, and we will tell you how to get your customized business blueprint. We are truly here to help you.
I'm so glad because people ask me all the time, well, where do I start creating a brand? Should I start with a logo? And I'm like, no, how do you create a logo when you don't even know what your brand is?
True, right.
Clarify.
Yeah.
So, let's say someone is listening who's newer in business. How important is it to launch with branding and understanding your brand versus launching and then saying, oh, now I'll figure out what brand I am?
I mean, you have to be intentional. That's the first thing that you have to do. And again, being intentional doesn't mean that you have the polished logo and branding and great slogan to go with it and all that. That isn't needed at the beginning. What's needed at the beginning is you having a single focus, knowing exactly the direction that you're going in, where you want to take your company, what unique problem you solve and how you solve it. Knowing those things really well is far more important. But again, kind of going back to this, I think people get caught up, and this was me at one point, just to share transparently my story. I thought that I had to have the perfect logo before I could start. And I would spend, weeks working with designers, because again, I'm not a great designer, trying to figure out, okay, what does this logo need to look like? How can I do this to make sure that it's going to launch really well? And then before you know it, someone has already filled that gap, because if there is a need to be filled, someone is going to fill it. Your job is to quickly identify it and move into that space. So for me, I missed many opportunities when I used to think that I had to be perfect. I'm a recovering perfectionist, I always say. I thought I had to be more perfect than I am now. And my latest company, Creating a Brand, I didn't have a logo when I launched it. I used text and just put Creating a Brand. And that was it. Because I now know that the most important thing I can do is start solving the problem for the world instead of being so polished and clean before I actually do that. Does that make sense to you?
It not only makes sense, I really hope the viewers and the listeners are really breathing that in. I say this to my client family members all the time, and this is just key advice. I really appreciate what Alex said. It is about knowing the result you deliver, the outcome you deliver, and then from that, you can become a brand. You've got to first hone in one focus, one goal. What is it we're great at? What is the outcome we can deliver? Wow, you just said something I preach day and night. We're very aligned.
It's so true, though. Some people, they have like the most, I've actually met people. I go to a lot of conferences. Actually, just this past weekend, I spoke at one. It's my voice is a little bit deeper right now than it normally is. I think it kind of sounds cool, but I'm recovering. But I went over there and people are always showing me, look at this great website I designed and look at this. And my first question I asked them, I'm like, so what problem are you solving? Oh, we're working on a few different things we're going to help people with. So they did the opposite. They went the branding route first before creating the brand and finding out what their unique value was for somebody. And yeah, it looks fantastic, but it doesn't do anything yet, right? So there's no reason to, one, even if you're great at yourself, don't waste the time. But two, if you're not good at it, don't waste the money, right? It's better to start saying, how can I solve your problem today, where I am with what I have?
I love that. How can I solve your problem today, where I am with what I have? That's great. I'm actually curious, what led you to get into creating a brand? How did you get down this path?
I think it's because I made so many mistakes along the way. I did the opposite for such a long time. Like I said, that I decided that I wanted to help people take that first or next step in business, because I find that many of us, we get stuck because again, we look at these bigger brands and we're like, okay, and maybe that's the goal for us. We say, I want to be that next really big company. And when you look at them where they are today, you're looking at some of their year 20, year 30, even year 50 and 100 and saying, okay, I want to be like that. Well, you can't discredit the journey that it takes to get there. Actually, a great tool that I love to use, I don't know if you've heard of this, but it's called Wayback Machine. You go to waybackmachine.com and it'll show you an old version of a website. I actually used this in a presentation recently because I was talking to people that are wanting to further develop their brand. So I showed them Forbes, Nike, and I think it was eBay back when they first started. And it was used the same year that I started actually doing web development, because I did web development many years ago. I started when I was like 10 because it was so fascinating to me. And so I pulled those 3 websites because I was making better websites than them as a 12-year-old than they were making back then. But they just got their product out there. They had a unique service to offer and to help people with. So for me, it goes back to, how can I help people make that first or next step with what really matters, instead of getting caught up in the noise that so many of us get caught up in today? Because it is really easy. I'm not saying that what I'm sharing right now is just simple. It's hard to get in the mindset of, okay, I just need to add value and help people. It's easier to say, okay, I need to look like I can help somebody first, right? And I think that many of us get caught up in that.
I'm so glad you're talking about that, because I really believe the most successful businesses I've worked with over these past decades are the ones that actually look at what is the problem that we solve, and everything they do focuses on that. And to be honest with you, some of the ones I've worked with, they don't even have a logo. And I'll say to people, how important is the logo, right? We're not, and I'll go back to Coca-Cola for a moment. We're not gonna, or Nike, we're not gonna just show a swoosh and people are gonna go, oh, that's Nike. That's not right. We don't have those kinds of marketing budgets, and truly we don't need them. We need to solve a problem. I love that we're talking about this. Great.
Now, me too. I love this topic. This is fun.
Yeah, I can tell. I'm gonna ask you a totally different question.
Okay, great.
I'll tell you where I'm coming from. So I've been in this industry like 26 years. And I first started, and the name of my company was Comprehensive Coaching. I was primarily doing all kinds of coaching.
Okay.
And then I went and started a coach training school. So it was a branch of comprehensive coaching called Comprehensive Coaching U. And then we switched the brand and we became the Coaching Institute. And actually, we greatly expanded that brand. However, back about 8 years ago now, I decided to switch my whole company brand to Heartrepreneur. What's the best process for making changes like this along, 26-year career? I'm going to find out what I've done right and what I've done wrong that will help other people.
Yeah, I'm sure that you have far more experience in this than I do. I've not been in business that long. That's fantastic that you've been able to kind of pivot and do different things to be able to further your brand. The first thing I notice is whenever you make a big change like that, you will see an immediate dip in business, or you'll see engagement drop a little bit. And I think that scares most people. I want to immediately go back and like, I made a terrible mistake. That's not necessarily true. And we'll get into that in a second. But the other thing that happens is you'll have people reach out to you and be like, I can't believe you did this, or I love the old name, or why would you change that? People don't like change unless you give them a reason to like it. I've done this before, but like I've had people raise their hands if they say they don't like change, and everyone in the room will raise their hands. And I say, well, who would like it if I would add an extra $50 to your check every single day? And all of them raise their hand. I'm like, well, that's a change. You like positive change that you understand. You don't like change that is unknown and scary. So the thing is, when you make those changes, the best thing I think that people can do today is to announce it. Say we have something exciting coming up. We're really happy about it. We've gotten a lot of feedback on it, and kind of announce it coming up. So people don't just get caught in the dark like, oh my gosh, what happened? And that's if you really have a service, like person-to-person business where you're really helping somebody individually. I found that's a good way to do it. But also don't be afraid of some negative feedback, because you're always going to get negative feedback no matter what. You could just, Terri, you'll probably get negative feedback from having me on the show from somebody. I don't like Alex's voice. I don't like the way he looks or something like that. Like, it just happens when you have an audience. But also the dip that happens, that's just organic. That's natural. People are going to disappear. Now, I also don't recommend making 10 changes like back to back to back, because every time you lose a little bit of the audience, but they do come back. It always seems to bounce back. And actually, I'd love to hear that happened for you by chance when you changed everything. Did it grow after that? I'm sure you had the dip, but did it grow afterwards?
Yeah, it's really fascinating. So when I changed and we went from Comprehensive Coaching and Comprehensive Coaching U, and we went to the Coaching Institute, first we had a huge dip, and we had a lot of pushback from students and graduates. You're changing the name and da-da-da. And then all of a sudden, we not only grew, but we grew exponentially. And
Wow.
just to fast forward, so I was that company for so many years. When I decided really what I was passionate about was the Heartrepreneur cause, and I said, I have to change the name. It's just what I'm doing now for an outcome has really changed. I really have to change the name, and the branding has to follow. We actually saw a dramatic increase instantaneously, which shocked
great.
It shocked me. And it just told me that actually what I had been doing for years, Alex, was actually doing this Heartrepreneur thing without a name. And so when I finally had a name, people were like, oh, I get it even more.
That's cool. Were you nervous when I don't mean to turn this interview on you. I'm sorry for asking questions here, but were you nervous to make that change? Like, how'd that feel internally? I'm just wondering from my own knowledge here.
No, this is good because us talking back and forth will help other people. I was really nervous when I even changed the name of Comprehensive Coaching and we went to the Coaching Institute. I thought the Coaching Institute was a better name. I had no idea what was going to happen. I'm like, I'm taking a perfectly great business. Am I going to blow it up? Am I making a big mistake? When I then took this very established business and I was known in the industry in that business and all of a sudden came out with Heartrepreneur, I was more than scared. I actually thought I'm going to lose my entire audience. I had an email list of 55,000. I already had a big social media presence. So yeah, I was scared. And what advice would you give to an entrepreneur who's tuned in, a Heartrepreneur who's saying, I also feel like I want to shift my brand and I'm scared? What would you say to them?
I mean, first of all, that story is really inspirational for me because I've had times when I've considered changes, but it makes you scared to do them, right? It is nerve-wracking a little bit, but I like that you practice what you preach. You followed your heart. You followed your heart. You knew that ultimately that's what you needed to do for your audience. I think there's nothing better than that. And it's really sitting down and making that decision. Now, if you were just making a change to make a change, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that you need to really think about the why behind the what. Like, why am I actually going to make this change? What is the benefit of it? Do I just like the name better? Is it just catchier? If you don't have traction, this is totally different. But if you have traction already, making a change can be really scary, like you're saying, but you did it because you trusted your heart, saying, you know what, I know this is where I'm supposed to be. And the fact that you saw immediate increase from it, that's incredible. You overcame that fear, you went for it, you did what you were supposed to do. And for me, I think for going back to the question here, if I was going to talk to somebody who's saying, all right, Alex, I need to make a change, we'd evaluate everything first. I'd say, okay, let's look at why you feel like you need that change. Is there like an actual reason for it? And also look at the history. If you're changing your name every year or something like that, and you're not gaining any real traction, maybe you need to revisit the idea. Because again, this kind of goes back to brand versus branding. Your name is technically branding to a certain extent until it's known. So I think that many people might just want to change it to see, okay, maybe I'll get traction. But sometimes you just need to go back to the original idea. What was the idea? What was the reason behind it? And when you kind of go back and revisit that, it might bring some things to your mind that maybe you didn't think about before. Maybe instead of changing the name, you should change the product, change the service, change your approach of bringing it to people. But I think that people really just need to check themselves. I mean, I'm very analytical, Terry. I'm like really into the really thinking, looking at data and things like that. But some of the things can not happen anywhere other than the heart. It has to come from your heart. And I think that business and your heart are very connected. It has to be. If you're really wanting to solve somebody's problem, you're not just wanting money. You have to be willing to really check yourself internally. And if it's time for some sort of change, you have to just be willing to overcome that fear and go for it, regardless of what's going to happen.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. It is so important. We want to use the analytics. We want to use statistics. We want to have knowledge. And I believe as a entrepreneur, clearly the blending of intuition and heart. And if you're really coming from focused on creating an experience and an outcome for my audience.
Is your business struggling? You want more leads, you want to convert leads more easily, you want more revenues, more profits. Whatever your biggest business challenge is, we're here to help you. We have a proprietary proven process that's guaranteed here at Heartrepreneur to help you increase your revenues and profits. And we have the ability to help you overcome your biggest business challenge. Simply send us an email to Terri, Terri, at Terri Levine, Levine.com, and we will show you how we can help you overcome your biggest business problem by doing a customized blueprint just for you. Whatever your problem or challenge is, stop struggling, stop the frustration. Let us help you so that you can have more money, more freedom, and more free time in your business. Do it now. Send the email now.
Then you'll know the right direction. So the podcast, by the way, that you really want to listen to with Alex is Creating a Brand, especially as an entrepreneur, a heartrepreneur. You'll really enjoy the interviews he does. He's got all kinds of interesting experts, and all the topics truly are things that are going to not only matter to you in your business, they're also going to make a difference in your life. So it's Creating a Brand. And by the way, is there a website they can also go to?
Yeah. Again, I'm not like really creative, so I just want creatingabrand.com. Pretty simple, right? People were like, why'd you name it Creating a Brand? I'm like, because that's what it's about. I didn't come up with a clever name or anything like that. Terri, I think that you're a lot more, you have much more of a interesting mind. I'll say mine is pretty type A, just, 1, 2, 3. So yeah, creatingabrand.com is the website. Kept it really simple for everybody.
By the way, I like websites like that for a couple of reasons, and I think it's important the audience knows. Number one, it tells you the result. What is you creating a brand? And number two, it's super easy to remember. Let's face it, heartrepreneur people have all kinds of trouble remembering, spelling. So that's actually a great tip that you just gave people, a really great tip.
Don't sell your names short at all. I actually loved it. As soon as I saw it, I was like, that sounds really cool. I've not heard anyone doing it. So I get it. It might be hard to spell, but don't ask me to spell it right now. But I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So what is the biggest mistake that perhaps you've seen that people are doing or that's trending in terms of people creating a brand? What's like the one thing that's like, oh my goodness, over and over again?
Oh man, just one thing we're talking about here, huh? I've got a handful. I think I'll start with kind of to keep on trend with what we're talking about here, and to kind of keep this conversation just moving along. I'll stick with finding the problem to solve is the hard think for a lot of people, I find that entrepreneurs these days are, especially ones that are leading from the heart, have multiple passions. We have a lot of things that we can help people with, really, that we can help people with, and that we have a desire to explore further. And because of that, what we're doing is kind of broad. So we can help people with, their personal development, their time management. We can also help them grow a business, a blog, and also I'm great with pets.
Pets.
We can provide, but really when we start, it has to start with one thing. It can't be all over the place and be 10, 20 different things. You need to find the one problem that you uniquely solve and make it the thing that you do the best. And you can add more to it. Here's what I've learned is when you help somebody with one thing, they're going to come back and ask, what else can this person do for me? They want to know more about how you can help them. But if you really just put on your website, your branding, everything that you're doing, one thing that you solve, they'll come back for the rest. And even big companies are doing this on their website. When you go to their marketing, you can look at a company that does 100 different, they only sell one service on their website. And really, if you look at it and scroll through slowly, you'll notice it's like, wow, they're only talking about this, but I know they do X, Y, and Z as well. But the thing is, they've understood the power of intentionally solving that one problem that somebody has. So I think that a lot of newer entrepreneurs, especially the ones I'm talking to, when I'm helping them make that first or next step in their business, they're saying, okay, Alex, well, I got these 10 ideas. How do I get all 10 of them out there right now? And I say, you know what? Narrow down to the one that's closest to your heart, the one that's most important to you right now, that you know that you're the only person that can really help somebody solve this the way that you can, and to go after that. So that's a long answer for you, Terri, but that's the one thing I'd bring up to people right now.
Thank you. That's a great answer. We're so aligned. It's so aligned with what I say all day long to my client family members and people that I speak to at conferences, et cetera. Know the one thing, focus on that. And, I do many things, as you said, we're passionate and maybe a little bit of ADHD, who knows?
It's somewhere there, right? Not diagnosed.
I have client family members hire me for that one outcome. And then as we develop a relationship and we really get to know each other better, they say to me, do you also? Can you help with? And then, yes, I can open up the other areas. So I think this is some of the best advice. I believe many entrepreneurs, they're just all over the place and people don't hire them. They don't come to their business as the business of choice because they don't see the one unique thing that business can do, the one problem to be solved. So that's really, really great advice.
Clarity wins every time is the way I always say it. Clarity is going to win every time. And I get that we all have multiple passions and we have a deep desire to help people. I know that's where I come from. And when I was really confused early on, wanting to do all these different things for people, it's because I really cared. I wasn't just trying to make money. I wasn't trying to grow my business necessarily. I really wanted to help people. I knew that I could multiple ways, but when you're everything to everybody, you're nothing to anybody, right? So for me, I had to say, you know what? I got to get crystal clear on the one thing that I know that I can help people with. And then, Terri, as you're saying, the rest of it's kind of a byproduct. It will come naturally, but you have to be willing to say, okay, here's what I do. And I'll let the rest just come organically, naturally later, and just trust the process that happens along the way.
Yeah, and there is trust in that because sometimes people will say, oh, what if people don't come for this and they don't know that I do this and this? And I say, if it is the one thing that's in your heart and soul, you can deliver results and outcomes on. You're even willing to guarantee those results and outcomes because my company or I am so good at that. This is what we do. This is what we do. Then people will come for that. And you don't have to be concerned about all those other things. If you think of Coca-Cola, they didn't start out with all of these product lines, Dasani water and Sprite and all these, million flavors of Coke and Diet Coke and Coke Zero. And they were Coca-Cola. They got known for one thing that they were really, really good at. And some of their diversification hasn't necessarily worked so well. However, because they have the one product and the one outcome they're branded under, can you relate that together?
Yeah. I mean, so you're talking about how we can have just the one product, one service.
Yeah.
And the branding. Yeah. I think that it's really important in all of your messaging. Again, going back to clarity, it's got to be crystal clear for people to understand. So anything that you're doing, again, doesn't have to be perfect. I think if I had a number two thing, Terri, if you were asking for two things, the second thing I'd say is to start today, launch with what you have, with where you are, and not worry about perfection first. As a recovering perfectionist, I always want to get that out there. So there's that little plug there for everybody, but it's got to just be, okay, here is the clearest way I can say this, and go out and start solving real people's problems. Don't just blast it on social media. Start with local, start with where you are. go to meetup groups, get on the phone, people do little one-on-one calls, see if you can actually start helping somebody and organically grow that business. It can scale later. Once you have some testimonials and things like that, you can start growing it online. But again, everything has to be focused on that one thing. So if you help somebody with that main focus that you have, and then you help them with something else as well, if they're talking about that other thing, don't publicize that right now. Keep that to yourself and just internally be like, that's cool. Makes me feel great. I'm happy to be helping someone on multiple levels, but keep it focused on that main thing. So again, going back to your branding, keep it there everywhere that you're, everywhere on your website, keep the testimonials about that, and go out and start solving a problem for one person, and one person at a time. Just build that momentum. So for me, something I always remind myself, I say, Alex, your job is to help save one person today. My job is to help one person get out of the trouble they're in today, not everybody. And even when I speak, I still tell myself that. That's how I actually overcame the fear of speaking. I said, okay, Alex, I know there's one thing that I can help people with. I can help people take that next step in business. I'm gonna help one person in this room do that today, and I'm happy. And when you have that idea of, I'm not going after the world, I'm going after one person to change their life and make it better with the problem that I can solve for them, and you have everything in tune, synchronized with that one focus, that really helps you a lot across the board. Terri, I kind of went on a little rant there. I don't know if that really answered your question.
Oh my gosh. Let me make a couple of points, Max. That was fantastic.
Okay.
That wasn't a rant. That was like,
Okay, good.
Great.
It's passion speaking. That's what it is.
I love it. I love it. Well, the first thing I'll just piggyback on, when I started this business about 26 years ago, that is all I did. Now, people ask me all the time, well, how did you get 30 clients in 30 days? I said, literally by helping one person a day for 30 days. And I never asked anyone to hire me. I just every single day said, I'm going to go help someone today. And each day I was helping someone, just get one result, the one thing I was good at, one result. And over the period of 30 days, yes, I had 30 clients. Now, my focus has never changed. I do a lot of Facebook Lives and a lot of videos. And every single time before I do it, we're so aligned, Alex, I go, someone that I'm going to be speaking to in this video, someone needs the advice that I'm going to give. And I look into the camera and I literally am speaking to that someone. I know there's one person who's going to go, oh, that's what I needed. Maybe other people are going to say, oh, but that's nothing. That's a waste of time. I already knew that. I don't care. Every day, just like you, I wake up and say, I'm going to help one person solve a problem doing what I'm good at. I think that was just such key advice, not a rant. That was just beautiful. Thank you for that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Let me remind the audience, it's so important. I really want you to tune in to Alex's podcast, Creating a Brand. It is so aligned. As you can tell, as you're listening and watching Alex, he is truly a entrepreneur. He's so aligned. And I think he's actually quite brilliant and someone that you probably need in your business and your lives. And you can find more at creatingabrand.com. So Alex, what's the last word of wisdom that you want people to walk away with? You have given us so much value. It's just such an honor to be with you.
Yeah. Can I change the pace a little bit for this last one here?
Sure thing.
It's something I've been saying a lot lately that I think is just so important. Again, we look at these brands, we look at everything on the internet, which is, it's weird. We have access to the entire world now. You used to only see what was in your library or what was right in front of you. This goes back some years, obviously, but I remember like learning about things in a library, but now you just log online, you can see the greatest of the greatest right in front of you. I think that so many of us, we get discouraged by that when we're looking at it. It doesn't mean to be discouraging, but it can be for a lot of us. We look at it and we're like, man, I'm not that. And I don't know if I could ever be that, honestly. And I know that I've felt that way many times in my life. I had to come to this realization that each of us, we are created beings and we are made to create. And I've been telling a lot of people this, that we have greatness and creativity within ourselves. So you, the listener, the viewer today, you have greatness and creativity within yourself. Don't compare yourself to other people's journey. Don't compare yourself to other people at all. There's something that only you can do in this world. And if you're letting it hold you back because you don't think you can do as well as somebody else, then you are skipping the opportunity to help somebody uniquely that only you can help. And somebody's life is actually not going to be better because they didn't get the chance to work with you. So just remember that you have greatness and creativity within yourself. The world needs what you're creating and what you're willing to offer. And that's the last piece of advice I'd leave you with and your audience, Terri.
I have goosebumps. That is just wonderful advice. I'm really asking our viewers, our listeners to take that to heart. Thank you so much, Alex. It has been just a delight to be with you. I feel so
Absolutely. It's been fun.
aligned, and I'm so glad that we've made this connection. And thank you so much for creating a brand and creatingabrand.com and the Creating a Brand podcast and all that you do for us.
Yeah, no problem. And Terri, by the way, I got to say this quick side note here. You're a fantastic interviewer. You know, being on both sides of the mic, I have to say that I understand how difficult it is to be a host of a podcast. So you do a phenomenal job, and your audience, I mean, stick with Terri. She's really going places, and really, I'm a listener myself. I've left your review and all that, and I love listening to what you're doing. So thank you for the value that you add to people's lives as well.
Thank you so much. And that just comes from doing what I love and doing what is fun.
That's it.
All right. So folks, first of all, I want to say thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. And I wanted to give you 2 quick invitations. I'm going to extend this to Alex as well. First of all, you can join our Facebook community. And this is truly a community of entrepreneurs, business owners, just like Alex, just like you, just like myself, who are here to help each other every single day. We wake up in the morning and say, how can we create value? So that's on Facebook. It's a group called Entrepreneurs with Terri Levine. And I really invite you to join, be a member, learn, and contribute value. And secondly, we put together a brand new educational webinar. And that webinar will help you overcome your biggest financial issues in business. It's not a pitch. It's not selling. It's not like your typical webinar. And you can find that at TL for Terri Levine, tlwebinar.com. So I invite you to join that as a free gift. Again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here today at Heartrepreneur Radio. And make sure that you connect with Alex at creatingabrand.com. Thanks, everybody.
You've been listening to Heartrepreneur Radio, maximizing your personal and business results by leading with your heart with your host, Terri Levine. This show is produced every week for your enjoyment and education. To make sure you never miss a single show, add us to your favorite RSS feed or subscribe in iTunes. You can also read Terri's latest blog posts at www.heartrepreneur.com/blog. Or follow Terri on Twitter at MentorTerri and on Facebook.com/Heartrepreneur Terri Levine. Your questions and comments are always welcome and appreciated. Send them to Terri on either Facebook or Twitter. Thank you for listening.